We'll start things off with Rich.
Coach, what are some of the things Phil is doing to expand the passing game as kind of defenses start to adjust to what you're doing? How does he have to grow to stay a play ahead of them?
Well, I think that's Coach Signetti and the offensive staff's job. I think you've seen, like I told you, Rich, you've seen a small glimpse of the playbook because of the time that we've had together. Certainly without a spring to review tape and then a minimized training camp, you're just seeing bits and pieces. So I think every week you're just going to start to see a little bit more. So hopefully that will keep ahead of people schematically. As far as Phil, I think every week you're going to see him get better and improve like he has. As you see, he can sit in the pocket and throw the ball down the field. He can keep plays alive and scramble. Scramble drill, he probably keeps his eyes down the field as good as any college quarterback that I've seen in a while, which is how he makes a ton of plays. And, I just think you'll see him improve the more experience he has.
We'll go next to Kevin.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Yo, what's up, Kevin?
Nothing. So, looking at stats right here, defensively, Max Richardson and Isaiah McDuffie, both in the top 3 in terms of total tackles. It's kind of a two-parter. First of all, just leadership-wise, what have they kind of helped you with in terms of, being a new head coach? And then to have those kind of guys just play so consistently, how big is that defensively?
Well, it's huge. I think the leadership piece, you mentioned Max. He's been a key to my first year as a head coach. Just looking back, early on when we were all sent home and we really didn't even know the team that well. A guy I leaned on, a guy I asked questions to, a guy that you can just tell all the guys kind of rally around and have a ton of respect for him, as do I. I mean, it just shows you whatever that kid chooses to do in life, he's going to succeed, whether it's continue to play football or become a lawyer or whatever he wants to do. So that's been huge. Schematically, our 2 linebackers, they're obviously the guys that, hopefully they do have the most tackles because everything's kind of funneled into those 2 guys. So you look at a guy like Mcduffie who's just fast, violent. He's all over the football field, and he's going to continue to get better. We're 5 games into a season with a new scheme that, I do believe once he masters it and they feel really comfortable, I just think you'll see him get better and better. So those guys do mean a lot.
We'll go next to Rachel.
Hi, Jeff. On Isaiah McDuffie, what do you attribute his production and his role in the defense to, and how has it really grown throughout the season?
Well, I think that, we've lined him up in a bunch of different spots. We've blitzed him. We've just kept him in the box. I think his production is 2-part. In our scheme, the way we play, that guy's going to have to make a lot of tackles because if he's not, we're not going to be very good on defense. The other thing is he does a nice job. He can run, he can hit, and he's, like I said, he flashes all over the football field. He's fast. I think I made the point to one of the media teams. He's like the water boy out there. He just runs around looking to hit everything that moves. You guys ever see that movie with Bobby Boucher? I mean, sometimes I feel like if I'm in the wrong spot, he's going to come over and tackle me. So he's just got the right attitude, the right makeup, the right mentality. He loves football so much. And I still think you're going to see such improvement. I think his ceiling is so high. We just got to keep coaching him up, and he'll continue to get better.
And a follow-up to that, away from the field, away from the team, as a person, what really stands out about Isaiah?
Well, he's kind of a quiet kid, as far as, just being around him a little bit. And, the hard part for me, Rachel, right now is because of COVID, I'm not able to be around these guys as much as I want. Like, I basically set up my office for like a hangout for the guys to come and hang out with me and eat and watch tape, but no one's really allowed around. So, I get to hang out with these guys on the field. He's a very focused guy. You can see he's very intense. It's very important for him to get everything right. He cares so much. When I'm in meetings with him, he's so attentive. He takes great notes. Football's so important to him, and he's such a good kid. And you can tell he really loves the guys around him, and he loves football.
We'll go next to Dan.
Coach, building off of that, his chemistry with Max Richardson. I know that Kevin asked about the tackle numbers. Just how do they build off one another when they're on the field on game day?
Dan, where are you right now?
On a headset currently unable to turn my video on.
Rich, is that allowed? Is he allowed to come on here without showing his picture?
No one
Fine,
needs to
I
see
would-
what I look like right now.
I would fine him. I would definitely fine him
Fine.
for that, Rich. So
absolutely.
keep that one charted. I think they have a great relationship together. And I think it's so key, kind of like those two guys got to be in sync, because when things move, they have to move together, because if they don't, their gaps change. Like it's like synchronized swimming with those two on the field. Their gaps change and they have to play off of each other. One guy blitzes and they have to play off of each other. So the more those two can actually do it together, the better off we're going to be. I would say they have a really good relationship on the field and probably off the field too. But two great kids.
We'll go next to Jimmy.
Jeff, playing a team that's coming off a loss that like Georgia Tech had, what does that do for your preparation? Is it harder to use the tape? I mean, what kind of added challenges are there from playing a team that's obviously going to be fired up after a loss like that?
Well, I don't think there's any difference, truthfully. I'm not into you get more fired up and play better if you lose, or you play better if you win. I mean, it's not the way I'm going to do things. I keep talking to you guys about the process and not changing who we are, win or lose. And, I'd hope they'd play hard if they won the game and beat Clemson, or if they lost the game. I mean, just like we lose a game, the next game, we're not going to come out and change who we are. We're going to get better, hopefully, and fix our mistakes. But if we don't have an edge each week, and we have to let a loss kind of fire us up a little more, or a win fire us up a little more, then I'm not doing a good enough job as a head football coach.
I'm talking about, just to follow up about them coming in. I mean, can you use that tape from that game, or is it so out of the realm of kind of?
No, that is a good question, Jimmy. I get it now. You definitely use the tape, because again, if you just look at the score, there's so much more to it than that. Dive into the film. I mean, you really want to watch these guys. There's some big runs the running back hit. There's some big passes the quarterback hit. There's some big runs the quarterback had. So again, you got to look deeper than the score. They did some really good things against Clemson, and there's some stuff we have to study hard from that game, and we're going to. Clemson's certainly a great football team, and I think that score isn't totally indicative of the two teams, but yeah, we can get a ton from that film.
Go to Rich.
Jeff, just talk about how Phil works with picking up blitzes, handling pressure. I know he can scramble, but just what are the things that Coach Signetti has been teaching him about blitz recognition and just, avoiding sacks?
Yeah, well, one, I think our O-line, if you look back to last week, I think that team, Rich, was tops in the country in the top 5 in sacks, and I think they sacked us one time, right? So credit to our O-line and Coach Applebaum for getting us in the right protections, and Phil getting us into the right protections. But yeah, certainly Phil's got to understand who's coming, where's coming. Does he have to throw hot? Do we have enough to pick up the blitzers? Then again, the thing that's amazing to me is, one, a lot of people seem to bounce off him, Rich, and he makes people miss. And then two, he feels the pressure really well and escapes. And while he can run and, elongate the play, he keeps his eyes down the field. And that's where we've hit a lot of big plays. So you got to be careful when you pressure this kid, because if you pressure him and you don't have a lot of people in coverage and he escapes, then you're in trouble. And then we have to make them pay. That's why as a defensive coach, you got to be careful sometimes when you're trying to get after people, because you better be able to get them down. Because if not, it's not going to be pretty if he keeps his eyes down the field, because you're not going to have as many guys in coverage, if that makes sense.
Without giving away state secrets, is there anything that Georgia Tech does defensively? Are they a cover team? I say they get 11 sacks.
They mix it up a lot. I mean, they do a lot schematically. They'll move, they'll shift, they'll overload, and they'll pressure. He's pretty creative on defense. He does a nice job. I'd imagine that they'll try to pressure Phil, obviously. But then at the same time, there's going to be times when I'd imagine we got some guys back there that they're going to have to be aware of to cover now too. Because Rich, if you send 6, right, you're not going to be able to double anybody or help out on guys like Hunter and Zay. So again, it's very, it has to be very calculated risk in what you want to try to get done.
We'll go next to Kevin.
Coach, last week I was lucky enough to talk to Matt Hasselbeck and Brian St. Pierre about Phil's development. They were both most surprised with just how quickly he's kind of came on the scene. Him kind of hearing the noise too much, or have you heard, from other alumni or just other people in general about, how quickly he's been able to kind of learn the system and do what he's done?
Well, I have heard from some guys, which I really, really appreciate. Doug Flutie has texted me just about after every game, win or lose. And I mean, to me, it's still like when Doug Flutie shows up on my phone, I think like I'm a kid again, and that's the coolest thing in the whole world. And I know he's fired up about Phil. I texted with Matt Ryan again this morning. He's fired up, which is so awesome, Kevin, to see that these ex-quarterbacks that played here, are watching him and are excited about him. And I think as far as his development goes, I don't think Phil's a kid that's going to start reading what people are saying, or all of a sudden he's a humble kid who, if you remember a couple months ago, he was a guy that no one thought could see the field before he transferred here. And I think he remembers that, and he plays with a very, very big chip on his shoulder. And again, I've told you guys this before, there's times when I'm leaving the office at night when he's still there. So the kid's preparation is extraordinary.
Go to Julian.
Julian's not on here, is he, Rich? Oh, there
Hey.
he is.
I was just curious. You just dropped a few, pretty important names in BC history. What's the dynamic been like with alums reaching out, staying in touch, being connected with them? What's their relationship with you like? What's their response been to what they've seen so far? How have you leaned on them, so on and so forth?
It's been really, really supportive, and it's made me really happy to be here, Julian. Whether we've lost a game and I get a text that says, keep your head up, you're going in the right direction, or whether it's after a win, we're proud, we're happy. And just the fact that they're following and reaching out, I'm very grateful for that. And what I'd love to see happen, Julian, is when hopefully, COVID goes away and the world gets better, these guys come around and I get to spend time with them. And you get a guy like Matt Ryan come around, spend some time with me and the staff, and even with Phil, or a guy like Doug Flutie or Matt Hasselbeck. I mean, are you kidding me? I mean, it's awesome. And I'm very appreciative for it. And hopefully more guys will continue to reach out. And, they just got to know we're going to do the best we can to get this thing rolling. How
do those bridges get built? Are you kind of reaching out to them, or are they kind of like watching and saying, hey, I just saw your game. Like, I like this, I like that. Like, how does it work? How does it work?
Well, some reached out when I got the job, and I've just tried to get back and reach out and make sure we stay in touch. And some I've reached out to. I think it's important, Julian, for me to reach out to the alumni and make them feel welcome. And it's hard, right? Because like I got here and everything, my whole world got flipped upside down. But my goal in spring ball was, Julian, not only for you to be able to come to more practices, but I wanted to open this thing up to alumni. I wanted, everybody who wanted to come back, whether you were a 4-year starter and an All-American to somebody who barely played. I want them to realize that this is their team. It's not me. This is their team, and this is what they've built, and they've laid the foundation, and I want those guys around. And that's going to be very, very important for me in the future.
And last one is Matt just making sure none of his records keep getting broken.
I don't know about that, Julian, but his records will be hard to be broken. So we'll see what we can do. It's a good one, though, Julian.
And we're going to wrap things up today with one last one from Dan.
Coach, God forbid I let you get out of this without a football question from me.
Really
everyone
listening to you without seeing you.
I know. Everyone yesterday when I asked them about the tackling, they mentioned the tackle circuit. What is a tackle circuit, and how does it help?
Tackle circuit is, well, you know what a circuit is, right, Dan? You have different stations. Okay.
Yep.
So let's just say there's 3 stations, right? One might be like a profile tackle where we're at close quarters with the guy. There's a big crash pad behind them, and we're going shoulder pad through the sternum just to get them to tackle lower, their aiming point, where their eyes are, driving their feet. Another one might be a wrap and roll drill where you're simulating running down the field, wrapping, squeezing, driving a guy's legs and wrapping them up. Another might be just the approach of the tackle where we're going to keep our eyes on the near hip, press the hip, and go right to that aiming point. And then we blow the whistle and we rotate to try to put them in different positions to tackle. And we've done it a lot. like I said, we tackle every day. We live tackle just about every Tuesday. We're just going to continue to stress it.
Jeff, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
All right, guys.